Welcome back to Sporting Mentality. My name is Tanner, and today we are going to be reacting to 2 trades for every team before the trade deadline, which is ending in 48 hours on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for those of you who don't know. And I made a few videos reacting to some players' trade rumors, so if you want to check those videos out, they're on my channel, so I post them all today, so if you want to go check those out, that'd be much appreciated. In the meantime, if you could drop a like on this video, that'd be awesome, and consider subscribing, turning on the post notification. It's free, so why not, you know? So the first team, the Hawks, major, I guess they're gonna have major and minor trades here. So the major one is gonna be Montrezl Harrell to the Hawks Montrezl Harrell to the Hawks, Derek Favors and DeAndre Bembry to the Clippers, Cam Reddish, Jerome Robinson, and Maurice Harkless to the Pelicans. So a 3-team trade here. So I don't know how I feel about this. Montrezl Harrell to the Hawks, Favors and Bembry to the Clippers. So that gives Clippers a replacement for Harrell and a nice shooting guard that provides more defense. Cam Reddish and Jerome Robinson and Maurice Harkless to the Pelicans. So this gives the Pelicans even more young players. So I think the people who are benefiting from this the most are the Hawks and the Pelicans, and the Clippers are not getting anything back from Montrezl Harrell, and I don't like that for them. This would be a horrible trade for the Clippers and a good trade for the Hawks and Pelicans, in my opinion. And a minor trade would be Cam Reddish and Evan Turner for the Cavs for Tristan Thompson. That's more a realistic trade for the Hawks, I think, if they really wanted a center like Tristan Thompson. For the Boston Celtics, the major trade is Enes Kanter, Romeo Langford, Vincent Poirier, the Celtics 2020 first-round pick to the Thunder for Dennis Schroeder or Langford, Grant Williams, for Dennis Schroeder, and then or Langford, Grant Williams, the Grizzlies 2020 first-rounder to the Kings for Bogdan Bogdanovic. So they'll be giving up Kanter, Langford, Poirier, first-round pick for Dennis Schroeder, or Langford, Williams, a first-rounder for Bogdan. Out of those 2 trades, I think the one that benefits them the most is Bogdan, because they have Walker at the point guard. I really don't think they need that good of a backup in Dennis Schroeder. So yeah, that's my opinion on that. A minor trade would be a 2nd-round pick to the Warriors for Alec Burks. Add some more depth on the bench, that's all that does. Major for the Nets, Spencer Dinwiddie and Joe Harris to the Magic for Aaron Gordon. Now this is an interesting trade because I personally think Spencer Dinwiddie is more valuable than Aaron Gordon. So I think for the Magic they're getting a huge W on this trade, and the Nets are getting a horrible deal on this because they're getting rid of a sharpshooter in Joe Harris and a great playmaker in Spencer Dinwiddie. And a fun fact is the Nets were doing better without Irving and with Dinwiddie starting than they are now with Dinwiddie coming off the bench. So that just shows of how big of an impact Spencer Dinwiddie is on a good team. A minor trade for the Nets would be Garrett Temple to the Nuggets for Juan Hernangomez and Vlatko Konkar. And yeah, that's just a little trade. So the Hornets, Malik Monk to the Knicks for Frank Ntilikina and a 2nd-round pick. Yeah, it gives them another backup point guard behind Rozier and Graham. So it just adds more depth and a nice asset that they can flip or use. Minor would be Kid Gilchrist to the Mavericks for Courtney Lee's expiring contract. That would be good for them in a 2nd-round pick. I think I like that one better because they're getting an expiring contract in Courtney Lee. Free up some cap space so they can sign someone better in the offseason. The Bulls, Thaddeus Young to the Clippers for the 2020 first-round pick and Maurice Harkless. I know the Clippers have been interested in Young for a while now, but they'd have to give up a first-round pick in Maurice Harkless. But honestly, for the Clippers, this is a deal because this is one case that I think both teams benefit from this a lot because the Clippers get a win-now type player in Thad Young, and the Bulls get a 2020 first-round pick and Maurice Harkless, some assets that they can flip or use in the future on the rebuild process. So I like that trade a lot. Minor, Chris Dunn to the Knicks for Dennis Smith Jr. Really just swapping defense for offense right there, and that's just a matter of whether they'd want to do that sacrifice defense for offense right there. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, Kevin Love for so many options, and a minor wanted to be Tristan Thompson for a second-round pick, obviously minor. So this would be for how many options they had. They have the Celtics, the Portland Trailblazers that are interested. I don't know who else, but definitely other teams. Trailblazers are up on the top of the list though, and I don't know what they'd have to give up, but it'd be a pretty hefty ticket to get Kevin Love for them. The Mavericks, Courtney Lee, and the Warriors second-round pick to the Grizzlies for Andre Iguodala. So that's an expiring contract and Courtney Lee second-round pick for Andre Iguodala. For the Grizzlies, this is amazing because they get cap space and an asset. And for the Mavericks, this is good because they get Iguodala and he could help on their contention for the championship. So he's a 3-and-D guy. He's getting older now, but he still can do some good defense out there in the court and help them win a championship in the future. Minor, Courtney Lee, Warriors second-round pick for Pistons, Tony Snell. Nobody really cares about that, to be honest with you. Nuggets, Major, Gary Harris, Malik Beasley to the Magic for Evan Fournier and the Magic 2020 first-round pick. This is interesting because the Nuggets are giving up their starter in Gary Harris and a good bench piece in Malik Beasley for Evan Fournier and a first-round pick. I think the winners for this is the Nuggets because they get a first-round pick and Fournier. And for the Magic, they get 2 young assets, but I wouldn't do that if I was the Magic, to be honest with you. Malik Beasley, Hernan Gomez, Vanderbilt to the Grizzlies for Jay Crowder, gives them a 3-and-D guy, and gives a guy who can help them run for a championship in the future. Pistons, Derrick Rose to the Lakers for Kyle Kuzma and Avery Bradley. I like this for the Lakers. I do not like this for the Pistons, to be honest with you. I don't see why they would do this. And actually, honestly, Blake Griffin could retire sometime soon because of all of his injuries. So Kyle Kuzma would be a nice replacement, a nice young replacement for him. And Avery Bradley is just a guy who they get back. He used to be on the Pistons actually, and he'd provide some more good defense for him. But I think the Pistons would want a little bit more in return for Derrick Rose. At least I would if I was the Pistons. Minor, Andre Drummond to the Knicks for Sally Filler and 2 second-round picks. Good trade for the Knicks, horrible trade for the Pistons. They need a first-rounder for Andre Drummond. Golden State Warriors, D'Angelo Russell to the Heat for Justice Winslow, Tyler Hero, Dion Waiters, swap rights on the Heat's 2022 first-round pick and a 2022 second-round pick. Yeah, don't do that. I would do that if I was the Warriors because they're getting so many assets. But for the Heat, I want to give up my depth like that. They're playing so well right now. They're the dark horse in the East. They could potentially make a run for the championship, if not this year, then next year they will. Minor, anything that restocks the draft coffers. All right. So Houston Rockets, Clint Capella to the Hawks for Cam Reddish, the Nets first-round pick. The Rockets second round, or the Rockets second round pick. Oh no, this is the same trade. Okay, so let's just reread this. Capella to the Hawks, Reddish in the Nets first round, and the Rockets second round pick to the Grizzlies. Iguodala, Len, and Carter to the Rockets. So for the Hawks, this is already a dub because they're getting their center that they've been wanting for a lot, and Cam Reddish is a guy who has a lot of trade value but hasn't really done anything this year. They're getting rid of their first round pick, which doesn't help, but they're getting Capella back. Rockets are sending a pick to the Grizzlies for basically Iguodala, and they're giving up Capella for Len and Carter. So for the Rockets, this is an okay deal. I'd give it like a B average deal. For the Hawks, this is like the same, a B, and then I really think this is just an average trade for both teams. They're not really winning a ton, but it helps them in certain areas. The minor, the Rockets 2020 first round pick to the Grizzlies for Jay Crowder, gives the Rockets a 3-and-D guy. They've been looking for Jay Crowder or Robert Covington or Iguodala, someone like that, to contend for a championship. All the contenders are going to want Jay Crowder, Robert Covington, or Andre Iguodala because they're all good 3-and-D guys. Alright, my team. Indiana Pacers. Major, Victor Oladipo, and Sabonis to the Clippers for Paul George. Just kidding, LOL. That is hilarious. Minor, Elijah Johnson, and the Bucks 2020 second round pick for Alec Burks. So me being a Pacers fan, obviously the first one is a no. I don't even want Paul George anymore. I liked him when he was on there. I still do like him. Yeah, Elijah Johnson, second round pick for Alec Burks, gives us more depth. That's just basically more depth. You want to be a starter or anything like that. Just helps out the rotation. Zubac, Magruder, Harkless to the Thunder for Steven Adams. Now for the Clippers, this is an amazing deal. They're hardly giving up anything. I mean, just a little depth on the bench. And for the Thunder, they'd be stupid to do this. If I was the Thunder, I wouldn't accept it unless I got a first rounder. They need at least some draft picks to do this trade so they can benefit off of it. Minor would be Harkless to the Bulls for Thaddeus Young. Pretty much a fair trade, a young guy for a veteran who could help them win now. Los Angeles Lakers, Kuzma and Avery Bradley to the Nets for Spencer Dinwiddie. This is a major W for the Lakers and a major L. Not a major L, but like an L for the Nets, because I'm telling you, Spencer Dinwiddie, if I was the Nets, this might sound crazy, but I would trade Irving before Dinwiddie because Irving is a chemistry killer. And that's been proven when he went to the Celtics, or when he was on the Cavs in his last year with the Cavs. Then he went to the Celtics, ruined that. Now he's at the Nets and he's ruining that. So he's a great player, just not a good chemistry guy. Minor, Troy Daniels and a future second round pick to the Wizards for Isaiah Thomas. Add some more depth, a nice punch off the bench for points. Memphis, Jay Crowder and a first round pick to the Kings for Bogdan, gives them more scoring. They're losing a guy in Jay Crowder who's a good 3-and-D guy, but they get Bogdan. Honestly, the Kings win this trade because Bogdan's gonna leave in free agency anyways, so I don't know why the Grizzlies would do this, because they could just wait till free agency and try to sign Bogdan. The Heat, Justice Winslow, Olynyk, Jones Jr. to the Spurs for Aldridge. I like this for both sides actually, because Aldridge could help them win a championship this year, and Winslow, Olynyk, and Jones Jr., all those young guys could help the Spurs rebuild around Murray, DeJounte Murray, Derek White, and all those guys. Spurs have a nice thing going for them there in the West. The Bucks, Ilyasova, Wilson, Pacers 2020 first round pick, and a Bucks first round pick to the Timberwolves for Robert Covington. They're giving up way too much for Robert Covington. I'm only giving up one first round for Covington if I'm the Bucks, but other than that, I think it'd be a good deal for both teams. The Timberwolves are getting some nice depth, and DJ Wilson and Ilyasova getting two first rounders, so that helps a lot. And the Covington is going to the Bucks to help them contend for a championship. 3-and-D guy again, like Iggy and Jay Crowder. Timberwolves, Andrew Wiggins and Layman to the Thunder for Chris Paul. Now this is interesting because I think this is a case where Andrew Wiggins and Layman go to the Thunder. This would be a case where the Thunder are completely set on rebuilding. They're not going to the playoffs or anything like that. Chris Paul goes to the Timberwolves with Cat and Covington, and they're competing for a championship next year. Hopefully they can pick some up in free agency then. But for the Thunder, they can build around Wiggins, and Layman could be some nice depth off the bench. I think that's a pretty fair trade in general, though. Minor, Covington to the Bucks for Ersan Ilyasova, DJ Wilson, and the Pacers 2020 first round pick. So this is basically the same trade as the Bucks up here. So I mean, I still think, except they're only giving up one first round pick, or the Bucks are only giving one first round pick this time. So this time the Bucks win, and this is a more fair trade than this one up here because the Bucks would be giving up 2 first rounders instead of 1. The New Orleans Pelicans, Drew Holiday, Jahlil Okafor to the Heat for Tyler Hero, Goran Dragic, Myers Leonard, and the Heat's 2020 first round pick. So Drew Holiday, Jahlil Okafor to the Heat for Tyler Hero and Goran Dragic, Myers Leonard, and a first round pick. So for the Heat, they're getting a nice backup center, and they're getting a starting right away Drew Holiday shooting guard who has a nice defense, but they're giving up Hero, Dragic, and Leonard a bunch of depth, and Hero's a great guy, great like JJ Redick type guy, and they're getting a first round pick. So I think it's a pretty fair trade, but I wouldn't do it if I was either team, because Goran Dragic is 34. He's really just a problem for the Pelicans. I don't think, unless they made a championship run and Zion's like an MVP or something, and Goran Dragic is like a nice backup, I don't think either team makes that much sense. Etuan Moore, Jahlil Okafor, the Pelicans' 2020 second round pick, and the Wizards' second round pick to the Knicks for Marcus Morris. I'm not doing this if I'm the Knicks. I'm doing this if I'm the Pelicans though, because they're giving up some depth, but only second round picks, and they're getting Marcus Morris, who's been amazing this year. Now to the Knicks. Marcus Morris to the Clippers for Maurice Harkless, Jerome Robinson, and the Clippers' 2020 first round pick. Marcus Morris to the Clippers for Maurice Harkless, Jerome Robinson. Okay, so for the Clippers, this gives them an amazing 6-man. They have so many 6-men. But I don't see... This is a fair trade for each one, actually, because Marcus Morris goes to a championship contender. Harkless, Robinson, and a first-round pick go to the Knicks on a rebuilding team that need those assets. So honestly, you aren't really you're losing anything on both sides. You're actually gaining. So, good trade for both sides. Bullock to the Lakers for Jordanos, Horton Tucker, and a second-round pick. Nothing major there. Terrence Ferguson, Andre Robinson, and a future first-round pick to the Wolves for Robert Covington. So they actually, I think for the Oklahoma City Thunder, they do this trade in a heartbeat, and the Wolves, they don't do this at all. They need at least 2 first-round picks if they're only giving up Ferguson and Robinson, in my opinion. Minor was Robinson, 2 future second-round picks for Tony Snell, nobody cares. Magic, Aaron Gordon to the Thunder for Gallinari and a future first-round pick. I do this if I'm the Thunder. They get a nice piece in Gallinari and future first, and Aaron Gordon's just a problem. He just needs to get out, get new scenery, try to revive his career as he's been slow this year. I personally thought he was going to be an all-star starting out the season, but turns out he hasn't been living up to the expectations. Mine would be Mo Bamba to the Celtics for Romeo Langford and a first-round pick. I do that from the Celtics, but if I'm the Magic, no, it's not worth it. Mo Bamba has so much potential. 76ers, Mike Scott, Zaire Smith, Jonah Bolden, and picks to the Wolves for Robert Covington. Again, same situation. Covington's to the Sixers, who are a contender. Gives them a 3-and-D guy who can help them contend for a championship. Mike Scott, Zaire Smith to the Bulls for Thomas Satoransky. Nothing big there, just gives them more depth. Phoenix Suns, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Tyler Johnson, and a 2020 first-round pick to the Cavs for Kevin Love. I like this for the Cavs. And for the Suns, this would be a situation where they would go straight to competing or contending. I don't know for a championship, but definitely in the playoffs. For the Cavs, you get a lot of the young assets, some cap space, and a first-round pick, some assets that can flip. So I like that. Sarge to the 76ers for Zaire Smith. It's alright. Nothing too exciting. Trailblazers, Hassan Whiteside, Nasir Little, and a 2020 first-round pick, or 2022 first-round pick to the Pistons for Blake Griffin. This would be for the Trailblazers to compete. I think if Blake Griffin had a season like he did last year, they could definitely compete. They need to get off the Hassan Whiteside contract anyways. Nasir Little is a nice asset for the Pistons and a first-round pick too. It's good for both sides because the Pistons get that expiring contract. They get 2 nice assets in Nasir Little in the first-round pick, and the Blazers get a nice guy in Blake Griffin. If he could stay injury-free, I think he could help them win a championship. Gary Trent Jr. to the Suns for Cameron Johnson. nobody cares. Sacramento Kings. Alright, I see my Pacers in here, so this is intriguing. Bogdanovich, Bjelica, and a first-round pick for Miles Turner. If I'm the Pacers, right away. Miles Turner's been horrible this year. He hasn't been horrible, but he's only been averaging about 12.6 boards, so if I'm the Pacers, I'm accepting this right away. And if I'm the Kings, not a bad deal. They need another center, and Miles Turner would be a good guy to build around. Personally, the Pacers don't really need him because they have Sabonis, and Miles Turner is just taking away from Sabonis' shine. So mine would be Dwayne Dedmon for a ham sandwich. That is hilarious because nobody wants him because he's old, has a huge contract. Yeah, hilarious. LaMarcus Aldridge to the Heat for Kelly Olynyk, Justin Winslow, and Derek Jones Jr. It's about the same trade as we saw for the Heat. I think the Spurs, or no, excuse me, the Heat would have to add in a first-round pick for me to accept this if I'm the Spurs, and I would accept this if I'm the Heat because it helps them to contend. Minor Patty Mills to the 76ers with Zaire Smith, Bolden, and Scott. More depth, young assets. The Raptors 2020 first-round pick for OG Anunoby, Stanley Johnson, and Patrick McCall to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Robbie Covington and Shabazz Napier. This gives the Raptors some more bench depth for Robert Covington to be a 3-and-D guy and Shabazz Napier to be a backup point guard to Lowry, and maybe that he could eventually start. But yeah, this is if the Raptors would win and contend for a championship, it would be a good trade. And for the Timberwolves, this is a great trade because they're getting a bunch of young assets and a first-round pick. So fair trade and all. The call, second-round pick to Pistons for Markieff Morris. More depth. That's about it. Now the Utah Jazz, Mike Conley to the Thunder for Chris Paul. This isn't fair. I think the Jazz would have to give up a couple second-round picks for Chris Paul and Mike Conley. I think Paul is worth more than Conley nowadays. But overall, not a bad trade. Minor at Davis in the 2022 second-round pick to the Magic for Ken Birch. Nobody cares. Major, last one, alright? Major, John Wall, and multiple first-round picks for Rockets Russell Westbrook. If I'm the Washington Wizards, I do not do this because John Wall is just a younger version of Russell Westbrook, and Russell Westbrook's old. He's 31. He needs to win now. He doesn't need to be in a rebuilding team. So for both sides, I wouldn't accept that. Actually, for the Rockets, I accept that in a heartbeat because John Wall and multiple first-round picks, you can build around him, and yeah. Minor, Dallas Bertans to the 76ers for Mike Scott and at least one pick. So for the 76ers, that gives him a shooter to contend. Mike Scott to the Washington Wizards and at least one pick. Just some assets. So there you have it. A lot of deals. Comment down below your favorite deal, what your opinions are. If I was wrong in some of my opinions, so be it. I have some pretty strong opinions when it comes to the NBA, but that's pretty much it. 2 trades for every team before the deadline. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn on post notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.